Good morning, everyone. This is Financial Literacy 101. Today, we're just going to take a real small break, on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I just give you basically financial information, of course, on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. We'll go over stocks. So definitely tune in tomorrow morning where I'll be going over some cryptocurrency altcoins. I've been learning a lot of information from my viewers, my subscribers. So we're going to go over to some altcoins that may not be as popular as Dogecoin and all these other coins. Ethereum, Bitcoin, etc. But we're going to go over some coins that can be profitable later on. But today, we're going to take a break, and I'm going to read you guys some money stories, okay? Some of these stories are funny, and some of these stories are absolutely corny. I mean, some of them are very corny, some of them are very funny, but sometimes the corny ones can be funny, and sometimes the ones that you think are funny are actually corny. All right, let's get right into it, ladies and gentlemen. So the first story, this is a little longer than most of them, but stay with me, is a very funny story. So he asked his wife to bury him with all his money. So this is what she did. So a guy been married to his wife for so many years, asked his wife to bury him with all of his money. Now, this is one of those ancient old things that the pharaohs in Egypt used to do. But this is modern day times where a man actually asked his wife to bury him with all his money. There was a man who had worked all his life and had saved all his money. He was a real misery when it came to his money. He loved money more than just about anything. And just before he died, he said to his wife, "Now listen, when I die, I want you to take all my money and place it in the casket with me, because I want to take all my money to the afterlife." So he got his wife to promise him with all her heart that when he died, she would put all the money in the casket with him. Well, one day he died and he was stretched out in the casket. The wife was sitting there in black next to her best friend. When they finished the ceremony, just before the undertaker got ready to close the casket, the wife said, wait a minute.
We'd like some money.
She had a shoebox with her. She came over with a box and placed it in the casket. Then the undertaker locked the casket and rolled it away. Her friend said, "I hope you wasn't crazy enough to put all that money in there with that stingy old man of yours." She said, "Yes, I promise. I'm a good Christian. I can't lie. I promised him that I was going to put that money in the casket with him." "You mean to tell me you put every cent of his money in the casket with him?" "I sure did," said the wife. "I got it all together, put it into my account, and wrote him a check." That was funny. No, not funny. I thought it was. Babe, you didn't laugh either. Okay. All right, here's some funny quotes. This one is by Al Capone. "They can't tax on money that you got illegally." Because, drug dealers don't pay taxes. Yeah, okay. All right, "Never lend money to a friend is dangerous. It could damage his memory." I don't get that one. "Money isn't everything, but it certainly keeps you in touch with your children." I get that one. Let's see here. What's another one? "What were the recipes today in Madison Square Garden?" That was whack. "The lack of money is the root of all evil." See, I like that quote. The lack of money is the root of all evil, because essentially when people are lacking things, they go out and try to obtain it, most likely, legally. And then if they can't, you got to feed your family. People do a lot of things illegally. Now, this one is from Joe Kennedy. "There are three things necessary for political victory. The first is money, the second is money, and the third is money." Also from Joe Kennedy, "I spent so much on the election, I could have got my chauffeur elected." This one is from Ronald Reagan. "Christopher Columbus was looking for a passage to India, but he landed in America. He landed in the wrong place, and when he got back, he wasn't sure where he'd been. But most important of all, he did it on someone else's money. Okay, Ronald, that wasn't funny. All right, let's move on. Let's try to find some funny stories, okay? What about this one? It says, any financial expert will tell you that keeping a balance on your credit card is the worst financial move you could ever make. The only thing worse is paying a financial planner to tell you not to keep a balance on your credit card. That's like giving yourself a wedgie and then paying someone to tell you it was a bad idea. That's actually funny. Okay, let's see here. When legendary investor Warren Buffett was given the chance to speak to high school students in his hometown of Omaha, Nebraska, he offered only one piece of financial advice before taking questions. So did Buffett give the students a great investment tip? No. He simply instructed students, avoid credit cards. Just forget about them. This is great advice from Buffett, and following will show you that you never give yourself a financial wedgie. All right. If you think nobody cares about you, try missing a couple payments. Do you want more attention, more mail, and more phone calls? Just get into debt. Just get into debt that you can't pay, and you will find yourself very popular in no time at all. Unfortunately, this is also the recipes for stress, misery, and unhappiness. Now, it's funny, but it's true, because again, we're trying to learn through laughter, right? And I remember, in my 20s, I was in so much debt. I mean, it was above my head. I was drowning in debt. And this quote right here is funny, true, and it just brings me to, a realization of my history where I was getting calls after calls, emails after emails, pieces of mail sent. I had so much attention. It just got to a point where, I say, hey, we're trying to reach so-and-so about collecting a debt. And I was like, I'm trying to reach them too. I used to say some of the dumbest things because it's like, I don't have the money. Like, hey, let me know when I get the money so I can pay you. Excuse me, sir. Click. I'm hanging up. Here's another one. Driving banks were established so most of the cars today could see their real owners. Cars lose value faster than any other major purchase and thus destroy more middle-class wealth than anything else. Limiting the amount you spend on cars will give you a surplus to use acquiring assets that increase in value. So how much should you spend on cars? Now, this is from Dave Ramsey. The value of all your cars should be less than half of your annual income. It should be less of your annual income, meaning if you make $100,000 or more, your car should be only $49,000 or less. What occurs in many of our communities is that you'll see that someone makes slightly over six figures, slightly under six figures, but their car is the same amount they make in a year, which is just, it's the worst thing because you're making all of the car dealerships rich and you're making yourself poor. You have to be cognizant of that. Baby. Okay. Here's another one. Why did you have to go and make things so complicated? Now, this is going to take some time. The tax code is 10 times longer than the Bible without the good news, okay? The hardest thing in the world to understand is the income tax. That was from Albert Einstein. As a CPA in the middle of another tax season, I'm not sure if I'll find these quotes offensive or funny. Either way, I can relate. The U.S. tax code is complicated. Unwily mess, however, is important both legally and financially that you get your taxes right. Don't do your own taxes unless you are confident you understand the applicable parts of the tax code. If you can pay someone to do your taxes, find someone you are confident and trust. Taxes are an important part of your overall financial picture, and you must spend the necessary time and resources to comply with law without paying more than you're obligated to. See, the thing about taxes, ladies and gentlemen, I used to try to do my own taxes, but in finance, you have different sorts of CPAs and financial advisors and coaches. And not everybody who deal in finance know how to do taxes, but some people actually believe that. No, the financial market, the financial world is enormously big. And there's a lot of people who don't know how to do taxes who's trying to take your money. Okay, and some of you out there trying to save $1 and you may be hurting yourself in the long run because you don't know how to do taxes, but you go to TurboTax, you go to the Jackson Hewitt H&R Block. You have all these online platforms that you think you can do your taxes. Let me tell you, if you just have a regular old job, you just have a regular job, you don't have any investments, you don't have any 401ks, you don't have any real estate property, you just have just a job and you just sign out a W-4, you get your W-2 and you do your taxes. That is where I would advise that, yeah, you can use TurboTax. But a lot of these platforms are growing with all the options to try to make it easier for you guys to do your taxes. But ladies and gentlemen, the tax code, again, is 10 times larger than the Bible. And I read the Bible 5 times, and the Bible, I mean, I probably read it more than 5 times, but that's the only times I can remember. But the Bible is even long. So just think about how large the tax code is if it's 10 times the length of the Bible. I'm just saying. If all economists were laid end to end, they would not reach a conclusion. A study of economics usually reveals that the best time to buy anything is last year. I've been rich and I've been poor. Rich is better. These are small quotes. I'm going back and forth with small quotes and also short, funny stories. Some of them are funny and some of them are corny. $1 billion lasts 8 hours and 20 minutes at the rate our government spends it, meaning that this government is highly in debt, okay? Here's one. Here's the wife. I think you only married me because my daddy left me a lot of money. The husband says, that's not true. I don't care who left you money. The most important thing is acting is honesty. Once you learn to fake that, you're in. A hypocrite is a man who pays his taxes with a smile. Let me say that again. A hypocrite is a man who pays his taxes with a smile. You guys ever been at the bar, cigar lounge? Maybe you guys went, what's that thing they called? Hookah lounge, whatever. And you have some patriot, you have somebody, oh man, I love paying taxes. I understand that taxes pay part of this country. Everybody did liberal duties. I'm like, yeah, your American duty is due as the American politicians do, who actually imposes the tax laws on the American people. And what do these politicians do? It don't matter if you're the right, the left, or in the middle. They find loopholes in the tax code so they won't pay taxes or pay very, very little taxes. I mean, just as an example, and I'm not hating on Donald Trump, and actually on this particular thing, I'm going to applaud Donald Trump because he paid only $700 in taxes in the past 3 or 4 years, and he's a billionaire. Like, we shouldn't be hating. You should be like, wait a minute, what'd he do? That is exactly what you should be doing, okay? All right, let's move on to some more corny, funny stories. A father is a fellow who has replaced the money in his wallet with pictures of his children. A father is a fellow who replaced the money in his wallet with pictures of his children. I'm not getting that one. Investing or gambling. There are 2 times in a man's life when he shouldn't speculate. When he can't afford it and when he can. Mark Twain. Wasn't funny at all, Mark Twain. Here's another one. Predictions are hard, especially about the future. I compare stock pickers to astrologers, but I don't want to badmouth astrologers. See, that's the thing I tell people, that when I give you predictions, even though we can break down the stock, in a very financial and analyzing that particular stock, at the same time, I tell you, take it with a grain of salt, because even though I can have all the information at my disposal, I can have the company's financials, where the company is going, innovation, inventions, what partnerships and contracts they have acquired. Sometimes in the stock market, I mean, somebody sneezed and that stock will still drop. I looked at Plug Power the other day, okay? And Plug Power, I'm down. I don't know what's going on with Plug Power. I have no idea. I have no idea what's going on with Plug Power. Because as we look at Plug Power, right, over the last year, Plug Power got up to $73 per share. This is what I mean. And everybody was expecting for Plug Power to reach $100 per share. Plug Power has not. In matter of fact, Plug Power today is down $23.39. How much have I lost? I've lost $245 with Plug Power. I thought that would never be the case. Good morning, learning every day. So we have to be very cognizant of investments and the information that you get. I mean, if goodness is its own reward, shouldn't we get a little something for being naughty? A tax on people who are bad at math. I mean, come on. Most people in America are bad at math. And just to kill the whole stereotype, listen, every Asian is not good at math. Because here's the thing. Have you noticed that stereotypes are very, very dangerous? Very, very dangerous. And the reason why I say that is because we have these stereotypes about each group of people, right? We have all these stereotypes about each group of people. So when we look at Hispanics, mostly Mexicans in America, we always see them either as grass cutters or they're good in construction, building things. Even though those things are true, but that's the first things we think. But there are wealthy telecommunication Mexican. There's our rich business men who are Mexican, etc. And then when I really think about it, when you think about foundational Black Americans, people who are descendants from Africa, we are the one who built the Western and Eastern world because we were their slaves and we built those worlds and we built them emulating some of the same structures that we built in Africa. So I just want you to take that into realization about stereotypes, because the one thing that people, when they look at Black people, they talk about stereotypes. What are they talking about? They're talking about, oh, they're good at sports, they're good at entertainment and dancing, and they're good at, and they love fried chicken and watermelon and grape juice. Those are like the main things, right? And if you want to go dark, they're the largest criminal class. But you go over to the Asians, they're good with computers, they're good with math. Well, when I look at, again, those descendants and us originating in Africa, we're the ones who discovered math. I mean, math already existed, right? We just had to discover it. That's why I didn't say we invented it. So it was discovered by Africans. The first astrologers were African. The first mathematicians were African. And there's still to this day a lot of African melanated Nubian people who are godsends in math, like my brother Keith. This dude, I mean, he could do the most complicated, algorithms in his head. It was just like, I don't need pen and paper. I'm like, how you don't need pen and paper? I got an algebra problem here. I'm getting it wrong. He was just great in math. So when I think about even the stereotypes when it comes to Asians, right? Oh, well, then the dark side of the stereotypes for Asians is they're bad drivers because their eyes are slanted. Wait a minute. There's bad drivers of every race. You see what I'm saying? So even though we're telling jokes here, there's always a time to learn something. And then when we look at, white people, we're like, oh, they're businessmen, they're doctors, they're lawyers, as well as Indian people, right? They're doctors, they're lawyers, this and that. But I'm like, well, the first form of medical care, medical innovation derived in Africa. I mean, the Ugandans are the one who created the procedure for C-section. See, and people don't know that. And the first forms of business was inventions. Like Africans are the one who essentially invented the irrigation system. They would irrigate water from the river, ocean, pond, wherever it was, and channel that into where a garden where there was growing vegetables and things of that nature. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have to be very cognizant of the stereotypes and information because, again, we all know that Africa is the birthplace of life. And then so we're the ones who first started building structures. See, Africans and African melanated people never lived in caves. See, that whole cave mentality, and I'm just going to stop off on a limb here, started in the Caucasus Mountains where they lived in caves, where Caucasians live. That's where you get the term Caucasians and Anglo-Saxons. Africans never lived in caves. They always built some sort of structure out of mud, out of dirt, out of hay, out of something. So when we went to these other countries, they didn't even understand how to construct buildings. They was living under trees and such things like that. So when you talk about these stereotypes, and if you're a Foundation Black American, then you understand, I hope you know your history, that all these other great stereotypes about people, they derive from Africans. We come from a very great people, but I'll move on. Let's see if I can find me one more funny story, and I'm gonna get out of here. Here's one. Here's a very short one. I helped put 2 children through Harvard, my broker's children, management professor and author. See, Morningstar, after exhaustive research on mutual funds, and I've been telling you guys about mutual funds for the very long time. There is a very defined line between mutual funds, exchange traded funds, and index funds. I tell you, don't invest your money in mutual funds. Invest your money in ETF and index funds. Here we go. Morningstar, after exhausting research on mutual funds, reported the expense ratio is the only reliable predictor of future mutual fund performance. This shouldn't be surprising. The less you pay others to manage your money, the more you keep for yourself. Now, this is John Bogle, said when it comes to investing, you don't get what you pay for, you get precisely what you don't pay for. Again, he says, when it comes to investing, you don't get what you pay for, you get precisely what you don't pay for. And we're talking about mutual funds. Index, here we go. Index and ETFs are the lowest cost investment options available, and their low costs are the major reason they have been so successful. Employing a simple strategy of regular investing in index funds will allow you to put your own children through college, not your broker's children, okay? Let me see if I have any questions. I do not have any questions. I thank you guys for joining this morning. We just took a break. That's all we did, ladies and gentlemen. We took a break. We read some stories about money. Hopefully, you guys learned some information today. This is Financial Literacy 101. Young money, cash money. Learn money and be inspired. You guys have a great and wonderful day. I'll see you on the next one. I'm out.